In internal angle bisector theorem, the theorem says that if you have an angle bisector AD, given the triangle as shown, that's m over n is the same thing, n over n is the same thing as c over b. As far as the angle here and here, that's AD is an angle bisector. But before we prove this, I'll get a formula. It's also a theorem that will help us to solve it. And that formula is easy to understand. Assuming we are given this diagram, similar to the former diagram, that's the angle bisector. But the difference that this AD is not the angle bisector. We have theta 1 and theta 2. So we're going to use sine rule here. We know that from sine rule that that's A over sine. So which implies that A over B is the same thing as sine A over sine B. So that's the first thing we have to know. So as one will call AD, let's call AD X. So we see that m over x using sine rule, using the formula. So m over is for sine theta 1 and x is for sine b. And if I do n over x is equal to sine theta 2 over sine c. So if I do over n over x, that's divided this equation by that. We now have sine theta 1 sine c over sine theta 2 over sine b. Yes. We have common term xx, so we see that m over n is equal to sine theta 1 sine c over sine theta 2 sine b. And we know that sine c over sine b is c over b. That's small letter c over sine. So we have c sine theta 1 over b sine theta 2. So this is a very important formula that will help us to prove the angle bisector theorem. So coming here, so we see that theta 1 and theta 2, they are now equal. Compare this. If you compare this with the angle bisector theorem, we see that theta 1 and theta 2 are the same. So therefore, I'm saying that since we know that m over n from the former diagram is c sine theta 1 over b sine theta 2. So let theta 1 and theta 2 be equal to theta from this diagram. Now we are using this one. We now see that m over n is now sine c sine theta over b sine theta, which is c over b. So we've proved that. So that's why I said this helps us to prove the angle bisector theorem. So let's solve just an example to illustrate that. We have find the value of x. As you can see, we see 43 degrees. So we see that without wasting time, we now see that 5 over 4 is the same thing as 2x over x plus 9 by angle bisector theorem. So cross multiply 2x times that is 8x. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 9 is 45. 8x minus 5x is 3x. So yeah, we are left with 45 here. Therefore, x is 15, 45 over 3. So our answer is option D.